Alright guys, our learning target today for lesson 16 is I can solve two-digit division problems with remainders using place value disk. So yesterday we did division with using arrays. Today we're going to look at it as using place value disk. I'm going to show you what long division looks like and how we can check our work. So for problem 1, we're starting off with 6 ones. So in my box I need to draw 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you may ask, well, Miss Rogers, why did you draw it like this? This is because we have to divide it by 3, which means I want my disk to be in groups of 3. So here's one group of 3, so I'm going to circle it. And here's my second group of 3, so I'm going to circle this one. Well, if I have 6 ones and I'm dividing them by 3, what does that give me? That gives me 2 groups. So our answer is 2. So with long division, what we have is we have our total. This is what we call our dividend. So I'm going to write that. This is our dividend. The number that we're dividing by is called the divisor. And then the number that we get, or our total, our answer, this is our quotient, which we learned yesterday. So when we write out our long division, we put a box or a half of a box. Inside the box, or sometimes I like to call it the house, goes the largest number, which is our total, or it's also known as your dividend. So I'm going to put 6 inside the house, and what we're dividing by, or the divisor, which is 3, goes outside the house. So I'm saying 6 divided by 3. Whenever we go to write our quotient goes on top of the house. So our answer was 2. So on the top, I'm going to write 2. Alright, now we need to check our work. You'll notice that this box looks like length times width. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. Remember, the opposite of division is multiplication. So sometimes I like to write a multiplication sign on the corner because to check it, I'm trying to get back to my total. So 3 times 2. Well, we know that 3 times 2 is 6. And that's what we started with, so this checks out. Alright, so let's look at this next one. Now we're starting with 3 tens and 6 ones, which is 36. So I'm going to draw 3 tens, 1, 2, 3, and 6 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, we're dividing it by 3, which is why I put the disk in groups of 3. It makes it easy.
Heather Caruso, please come to the front office. Heather Caruso.
Sorry about that, guys. So here in our tens place, we have one group of 3. And in our ones place, we have 2 groups of 3. So 36 divided by 3 is equal to 12. So 36, this would be our total, which is our dividend, and we're dividing it by 3. So whatever you're dividing by is your divisor. I think that they sound the same, divisor and divide. And then 12 would be our quotient. So let's show that in long division. Remember, in long division, we have our house. Inside our house, we want our larger number, which is our dividend, so 36. And we're dividing that by 3. So that goes on the outside. Our quotient is going to go on the top. So I have 1 10 and 2 ones. So you need to make sure that your digits are lined up with place value. So now we can check. So remember, length times width, and we're trying to get the number in the middle, or what we started out with. So we're going to do 12 times 3. Well, we know that 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times 1 is 3. Is 36 what we started with? Yes, it is. 36 and 36. So I can put a check. Alright, let's look at our next problems. So at the top, we have 5 ones divided by 4. So that's saying 5 divided by 4. So in my ones place, I'm going to draw 5 ones. But since we're dividing it by 4, I want to draw my disc in groups of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I can circle my groups. Well, I have one group, but can I make another group? I can't. So this 1 becomes our remainder. So I have 1 remainder 1. Let's see what that looks like with long division. So we have our house. Inside our house, we want to put our larger number, which is our dividend, and that's 5. And then on the outside of the house, we want to put our smaller number, which is our divisor, and that's 4. We solved that our quotient is 1, so above the 5 needs to be 1. On the outside of the top, we want to put the remainder, because he's left. So he's going to be left out the house. So 1 remainder 1. But you'll notice they're still written at the top as our final quotient. So let's check. Remember, we want to do length times width. So we know that 4 times 1 is equal to 4. Well, you'll notice 4 does not match 5, which is what we started with. But remember yesterday we talked about that remainder and how we had to add to get to our final answer. So if we have a remainder 1, then we have to add that in. And then what's 4 plus 5? 4 plus 1? 5. So now did we get what we started with in the beginning? Yes, we did. So we can check it off. We know that it's correct. Alright, so same thing here. We have 45 divided by 4. So if we're dividing by 4, we want to draw our disc in groups of 4. We have 4 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Groups of 4. 5. So now I can circle my groups. I have one group of 4. So in my tens, I have 1. And then in my ones, I have one group of 4. But then I have 1 left over. So that becomes my remainder 1. So our quotient is 11 with a remainder of 1. So let's see what that looks like in our long division. So we draw our house. We need our dividend to go in the middle of our house. So our dividend is our total, which is 45. We need our divisor to go on the outside of the house. So that's what we're dividing by, which is 4. Now 11, I have 1 10 and 1 1. So again, make sure that you're lining up your 10s and your 1s. I have a remainder of 1. He's left over. So he goes on the outside of the house. So 11 remainder 1. Now we need to check our work. So to check, we need to do 4 times or 11, or length times width. So 11 times 4. We know that 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. But we still have that remainder, so we need to add him back in. 4 plus 1 is 5, and bring down your 4. So we whenever we checked our work, we got 45, and that's exactly what we started with, so I know that it checks out. Alright, problem number 3. 8 divided by 3. Since we're dividing by 3, we want to draw our disc in groups of 3. So we have 1, oops, this is 8 ones, not 8 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I can circle my groups of 3. I have 1 group of 3 and 2 groups of 3. These other 2 would become our remainders. So we have remainder 2. So let's see what that looks like in our long division. Here's our house. Inside we need our dividend, which is 8. On the outside we need our divisor, which is 3. And on the top we need our quotient, which we figured out is 2. And then we also have a remainder, so he gets on the outside of the house. 2, remainder 2. Let's use our long division to check our work. So again, we do length times width. So 3 times 2. We know that that's equal to 6. But we have a remainder. So we need to add back those remainders in. So since our remainder is 2, we have to add 2. So 6 plus 2 is equal to 8. When we checked our work, we got 8, and that's exactly what we started with. So I know that this checks out. Alright, 68 divided by 3 is your you do. So I want you to do this one by yourself and then get started on your problem set.